An entitled HOA board member turned MY private backyard pool into her personal country club by inviting strangers, throwing parties, acting like she owned the place. But then she made one critical error, and I unleashed the most brilliant revenge to render her speechless and expose her to the entire neighborhood. See it to believe it. Smash that subscribe button to Neighbor Wars HQ right now, because you will not want to miss this. My name is Marcus, and I bought my dream house 3 years ago in a gated community in Arizona called Sunset Ridge Estates, with pristine desert landscaping and, most importantly to me, plenty of space in the backyard to fit the pool I'd always wanted. I'm a software developer who works from home, but I spent years toiling in a shoebox-sized apartment in my younger years. I saved up enough to treat myself to something truly special. I shelled out $43,000 on a one-of-a-kind saltwater pool with an LED light, hot tub attachment, and waterfall. I never felt so happy to be an adult in my entire life. It was my happy place. My happy place wasn't so happy anymore when a new neighbor named Linda Westbrook spoiled it rotten. Linda is the nominal vice president of our HOA association and a perfect example of a speak to the manager, haircutter, look at me, Mary Batfish kind of person you see in your nightmares about disorganized, messy neighbors who break all the community norms not named, thou shalt not be a complete disaster. She had one of those speak to the manager hairdos, blonde highlights layered in bold strokes to defy both nature and good taste. She drove a white Lexus SUV with a personalized license plate frame that read Blessed One. I'm pretty sure it was her version of luxury line. She also owned the largest house on our block, a monstrous 5-bedroom behemoth that her dentist husband had bought just in time to catch her leaving her husband of 2 years ago. I hear she got the house. He got his freedom back. I'm not sure who got the actual better end of that one. Anyway, Linda harbored a unique philosophy about property. If you're in her line of sight, she was effectively a co-owner. The trees that shaded her driveway from 2 houses down, she wanted them trimmed. The fountain in the nearby community area, she asked for it to be moved because it interrupted the flow of her meditation practice. And it seems the pool, well, it was going to become a kind of community resource in short order. The first clash occurred in June, 2 months after the pool installation. I'm inside, trying to meet a deadline, when the splashing and laughter reached me. A lot of laughter. I rushed to the window in my office. But I wasn't expecting what I saw. There were 5 strangers in my pool. 5 strangers. They were drinking margaritas. They were floating on inflatable rafts. One guy had brought a portable speaker playing Jimmy Buffett. I rushed out into the yard. Excuse me. What's going on here? Why are you guys in my pool? One woman, wearing a ridiculous oversized sun hat, looked up calmly. Oh, Linda said it was okay. We're from the book club. We thought the pool here was just resurfaced. Linda said, this is my private pool. This isn't a community resource. My book club looked sheepish. The Jimmy Buffett guy turned off the music. Linda's the vice president of the HOA, hat woman shrugged. She said she asked the pool's owner. I am the pool owner. I asked Linda's book club to leave. They dispersed like roaches when the porch light flicks on. I stormed to Linda's house. She stood in the open doorway, wearing a flowy kaftan and holding a wine glass at 2 in the afternoon. Marcus. Oh, nice surprise. Everything all right? Linda, 5 strangers are in my pool. They claim you gave them permission. She flapped a manicured hand. Oh, that. Yes, I told the girls they could take a dip. The community pool has that algae problem, and it's just so hot today. I knew you wouldn't mind. Actually, I do mind. It's my private property. You can't just invite people to use it without asking me. Linda's smile turned icy and hard. Marcus, we're a community here. We share. We look out for each other. I would think that someone new in the neighborhood would want to make a good impression. Making a good impression doesn't involve letting strangers use my backyard. Strangers? She laughed, a hard, condescending sound. These are your neighbors, your fellow HOA members, people who might be voting on things that affect your property down the line. There was the threat, the suggestion that if I didn't go along, I'd pay a price for it, courtesy of her power on the HOA. Linda, I understand that you might invite people to use my pool. I implore you, Don't invite anyone without checking with me first. She took a deep, deliberate sip of her wine, her eyes still locked on mine. Of course, Marcus. I completely understand. I'll make sure to text you next time. She closed the door before I could point out that a text was not an acceptable substitute for permission. This should have ended it all. Spoiler alert, it hadn't even started yet. 2 weeks later, it happened again. I came home from grocery store trip to find that not one, not two, but 3 kids I'd never met before were splashing about in my pool while their mother lounged on my deck chairs. Linda said it was okay. She protested when I asked her what was going on. She's helping plan some activities for the neighborhood kids this summer, and she said you'd. Everything all right? Linda, 5 strangers are in my pool. They claim you gave them permission. She flapped a manicured hand. Oh, that. Yes, I told the girls they could take a dip. The community pool has that algae problem, and it's just so hot today. I knew you wouldn't mind. Actually, I do mind. It's my private property. You can't just invite people to use it without asking me. Linda's smile turned icy and hard. Marcus, we're a community here. We share. We look out for each other. I would think that someone new in the neighborhood would want to make a good impression. Making a good impression doesn't involve letting strangers use my backyard. Strangers? She laughed, a hard, condescending sound. These are your neighbors, your fellow HOA members, people who might be voting on things that affect your property down the line. There it was, the threat. The suggestion that if I didn't go along, I'd pay a price for it, courtesy of her power on the HOA. Linda, I understand that you might invite people to use my pool. I implore you, don't invite anyone without checking with me first. She took a deep, deliberate sip of her wine, her eyes still locked on mine. Of course, Marcus. I completely understand. I'll make sure to text you next time. She closed the door before I could point out that a text was not an acceptable substitute for permission. This should have ended it all. Spoiler alert, it hadn't even started yet. 2 weeks later, it happened again. I came home from grocery store trip to find that not one, not two, but 3 kids I'd never met before were splashing about in my pool while their mother lounged on my deck chairs. Linda said it was okay. She protested when I asked her what was going on. She's helping plan some activities for the neighborhood kids this summer, and she said you'd provided access to your pool on Wednesdays. Wednesdays? There was a schedule. I called Linda. Linda, we talked about this, Marcus. Those are the Henderson children. Their mother has her hands full at the moment, and I thought a good way to give a neighborhood a boost would be to support her. Neighbors helping neighbors. You do see the value in that, don't you? I see that you're organizing MY property for your causes without MY permission. Oh, come now. It's a handful of hours a week on the afternoons when the pool's open. The children are very well behaved. Really, Marcus, what's the issue here? That's not the point. Well, what's the point, Marcus? Do you want to prove that you're the selfish new commuter who keeps needy children out of a pool when the weather's hot? That the kind of reputation you're trying to build? She was good. Diabolically good. She had social pressure and the power of the neighborhood working for her, transformed into a guilt trip machine. I refused to give in. No more pool uses without your advance, specific, preferably written, permission. I mean it, Linda. Crystal clear. She said, a woman who made it clear that nothing was ever clear. Then the events escalated. Every occurrence had a different explanation. A spontaneous neighborhood party that Linda threw in my backyard without telling me. I got home to 25 people, a taco bar, and a mariachi band. A water wellness exercise led by Linda's yoga instructor, who brought in 6 of her closest friends every Tuesday at 6 a.m. The splashing had a way of waking me up every time. A swim practice led by a teenage swimmer. A swim practice, Marcus. 8 kids, all practicing their strokes while their coach yelled instructions. Every time I pushed back at Linda, she had a reason. Every time she made me sound like the crazy person. It's a pool, Marcus. It's not that big a deal. Community requires sacrifice. I'm trying to bring the neighborhood together, and you're being the party pooper. I cornered the HOA president, a nervous little soft touch named Dawn, who seemed to have a mortal terror of Linda. Oh, Linda's a piece of work, Dawn said, backing away slowly. Marcus, I don't know what happened. I gave some of the neighbors pool access information for a little party. It must have gotten out of hand. You know how these things go. You gave out access information? Linda, this is my property. You do not have access information to give. Well, your back gate was unlocked. The gate is always locked. Someone climbed the fence. She raised an eyebrow in exaggeration. Marcus, I think you're being a bit too sensitive. A little mess from a community event. There's puke in my hot tub. Linda, I'm sure they'll apologize when we can find them. The responsible party, ISU. Her gaze turned icy. I'd watch out before making assumptions. Marcus, he began, you don't have one shred of evidence that you were there. And, as the vice president of the HOA, I have the same responsibility to investigate reports of aggressive behavior among residents. A threat, a clear and veiled threat to make my life difficult if I choose to continue on this path. But Linda made one glaring mistake. The one mistake that would blow the entire HOA situation out of the water. The one mistake that would make her regret ever trying to threaten me. Linda thought that if she threatened me, intimidated me, and bullied me, that I would just back off, that I would leave her alone. Well, that just isn't the way the cookie crumbles, little girl. The way the cookie crumbles? The way it crumbles? The way that the cookie crumbles? Oh well. In the following week, I worked on researching the laws pertaining to property owners and HOAs. Then, off to the library and researching creative ways to really make her regret the day that she chose to screw with me. Then, off to the library and researching ways to make this HOA work to her advantage. I'm sure that costs money, though. HOAs don't work for free. Then, off to consult with the one person who really knows what he's talking about here. The one person that could teach me ways to make her regret that day that we met. My lawyer. The final step? The one step that would make her really regret that day that we met. The step that would make her really regret ever trying to screw with me. Take everything that she came up for me. Take everything that she tried to destroy. And take revenge. How? Oh, there's so many ways to skin that cat. But the first step? 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 Well, that would be the first step. Step 1 involved me sending her a certified letter. Marcus, these are my friends Stephanie and Carolyn from my Pilates class. We were hoping to use your lovely pool this afternoon, just for an hour or two. Linda, didn't you get my letter? Oh, yes. But I think you're completely ridiculous, and I'm giving you an opportunity to see things through the eyes of a reasonable man before I take this to the rest of the neighborhood. It's already a neighborhood issue. The answer is no. She gave me that chilling smile. That's a shame. We'll see how things go at the next HOA meeting. She turned to whisper to her friends. I caught the tail end of a "what a jerk" comment from someone. This was well within the plan for step 2, making the pool extremely appealing. I turned on the lights. I set the waterfall feature to maximum blast strength. I set the island speakers playing. Island music at a decibel level loud enough to be heard from the street, but not the entire neighborhood. I made sure the gate was unlocked with ninja surveillance monitoring the entire event from above the ground level of the gate itself. And then I waited. This took exactly 3 days. On the third night, the security system alerted me to a presence in my yard. I peered at the live video from my phone in the house at exactly 8:30 p.m. on a Friday night. Linda and 4 of her Pilates classmates were making their way into my yard past the gate they'd previously trespassed through when not invited. See? I told you he wouldn't care. Oh yes, Linda told her friends in the pool area. He's just blowing hot air. When he sees how happy this makes us all, he'll come around. They waded into the pool, wearing bikinis and snickering like little girls getting caught sneaking into a pool when the lifeguards aren't there to check up on pool rules. I waited exactly 15 minutes for the group to calm down and become loud and comfortable with the accommodations they'd made use of illegally. I stepped outside with my cell phone held aloft and rolling a video. Good evening, Linda. She turned from the pool with a look of shock. What the? We were just trespassing. On my property. On record. While ignoring a certified attorney's warning letter from my lawyers not to enter. Her friends looked at each other nervously, with the first starting to make a beeline for the ladder to climb out when I got their attention again. Don't be ridiculous. I am not ridiculous when the local homeowners association can see the entire video we're taking right now. This is just neighbors sharing. This is breaking and entering. Criminal trespass. And since you've done this repeatedly despite written warnings, it's harassment. You can't be serious. I'm incredibly serious. You have 2 minutes to leave my property before I call the police. And Linda? I've forwarded all the security footage from the past 6 weeks to my attorney. Every single invasion, every single party, time-stamped and documented. The other women scrambled out of the pool, gathering their things. But Linda had one last thing to say. You're making a huge mistake, Marcus. The HOA board will hear about this. We can make your life very difficult. Violations, fines, restrictions. Actually, Linda, the HOA board is going to hear about this. Because I've already sent a comprehensive complaint to Dawn and every other board member. With evidence, including footage of you hosting an unauthorized party that caused thousands of dollars in damage to my property. Her face had gone white. I've also filed a police report for the property damage. And I've sent a demand letter for restitution. If you don't pay the $3,800 in damages within 30 days, I'll file a civil suit. And if you or anyone you invite sets foot on my property again without written permission, I'll pursue criminal trespassing charges. You're bluffing. I held up my phone, where I'd just recorded the whole exchange. Am I? Finally, something was getting through to Linda. For the first time since I'd met Linda Westbrook, she was speechless. She grabbed a towel and stomped out of my pool, which was now free of the unwanted guests. But the storm was just beginning. The next HOA board meeting was 3 days away. I came prepared with my lawyer and an extensive presentation that included the following. Security cameras capturing each pool invasion, 42 incidents in 8 weeks. Photos of the property damage, copies of the warning letters. I'd sent proof of threats by Linda to retaliate against me through her membership in the HOA, a audio recording of Linda admitting she'd given other folks access to the pools without my knowledge or consent. The community meeting room was full. Rumors of an epic battle had spread throughout the neighborhood. Dawn called the meeting to order. Linda sat, as always, in her spot, arms crossed and a look of defiance on her face. When I was given a chance to speak, I let loose and said what I'd come to say. Linda told me the community pool was closed and I could come to Marcus's pool in your neighborhood. Mind you, I didn't know it wasn't okay. She planned a pool party there for her kids without telling us it wasn't her pool. She's been telling everyone I was being stubborn and unwilling to share. She made Marcus sound like the problematic one. Other members of the neighborhood began rising up against Linda. The social leverage she'd been using to hurt me was turned back upon her twice as hard. Dawn glared at Linda disapprovingly. Linda, these are some darn serious charges you're facing. Misuse of the HOA membership, trespassing, property damage, harassment. This has been completely exaggerated. Linda snapped, her voice tight-lipped and hard. Marcus is a newcomer and doesn't understand a thing about community living. Linda, don't interfere. Dawn's voice was firm and commanding. Linda, you organize pool parties at a private pool without the pool owner's permission and despite being asked several times to stop pool events at the home of a different HOA member. This is not community living, Linda, that's entitlement. The entire board voted to remove her vice presidency at the HOA, immediate effect, and a letter of apology went out to me as an apology to the entire HOA by vote. 2. Stating plainly that the pools within people's homes are private property writ large and should be respected as community property by the community members. But the real punchline? The 3 weeks following the meeting, Linda listed her home for sale. Apparently, the social costs of this meeting were too much for Linda to bear. These are the same neighbors she had manipulated and leveraged for her own sinister purposes against others in our neighborhood. These same neighbors had seen Linda for what she was, and the invites started to stop coming. A new book club location had been found elsewhere. Her yoga teacher discreetly and professionally let Linda know that she no longer had a client. Linda couldn't bear that she had been relegated to the outside of this social circle she had previously controlled so well. Her house sold in 6 weeks. I didn't see Linda again after the closing date on the house. But here's the beautiful part of this convergence of events. The new family that purchased Linda's house, 3 kids under age 10. And about a month after they moved in, James, the father of the 3 youngsters, rang on my doorbell. Hey, Marcus, James from down the street. My kids have seen your incredible pool and won't stop talking about it. So, I thought, hey, Do you mind maybe sometime if they came over? Totally supervised, with whatever rules you wanted them to follow. And on your timetable? And hey, go through me, and we can arrange something trade-wise, for yard work. This honest and well-meaning man stood in my doorway, asking me permission like he truly respected me and valued our relationship as law-abiding and honest human beings, and a smile broke through me without me realizing it either. Hey, James, Saturday at 2 o'clock Saturday? Pool's open then, and snacks will be provided. Really? That's fantastic news for them, and me as well. Thank you a million times over. And the difference between me and Linda? She didn't comprehend this simple thing. When you share with everyone and anyone and then refuse to share because of whose pool they are and what they may do with theirs. That isn't about me being either selfish or a social. No such thing about me at all, actually. That's about me refusing me access to selfish and asocial types who clearly don't think they have to share. They have every right to MY pool and MY hospitality, no matter how they and theirs behave, because selfish and asocial themselves in addition, because they clearly don't recognize MY rights either, though they are blinded as they are by selfish and asocial personal selfishness and socialness as well themselves, because they'll do what and as they please no matter MY pools and MY hospitality's rules, because they're selfish and asocial about this pool and MY hospitality and my rules, because they know no bounds either and won't recognize mine either, and because they clearly are selfish and asocial themselves, because they have no regards either and won't care either and won't care about mine either, because they're selfish again and asocial again about this pool and MY hospitality and about MY rules either, because they're selfish again and asocial again about this, because they clearly have every right as they sincerely see and sincerely and honestly and sincerely and hopefully see and honestly and hopefully see and honestly and hopefully see and honestly and hopefully see and hopefully, because they have every right as they see, because they are as they honestly and hopefully see, because they are as they are, because they have every right as they are. Second, do not let neighborhood bullies turn leverage against you. You stand your ground when you're right. Third, there is a world of difference between a strong neighborhood and a strong neighborhood with an attitude of entitlement. One is about give and take, and the other is about take. And finally, the best revenge is not to take it, but to leave it to karma and let the worst of them work for you by defending your own space. Linda tried to make my dream life her country club, but instead she lost neighborhood status, her spot in the HOA, then her house. Meanwhile, I'm still here, swimming in my pool with people who actually deserve to show up to it. If you enjoyed this video about a neighborhood showdown, smash that subscribe button to join the Neighborhood Wars HQ. Turn that notification bell to ensure you don't miss any future tales of Karen karma. Leave a comment below and tell me what I could have done differently in this neighborhood showdown. And if you have your own war story, send it to me through the link in the video description. Your video may end up in the following video. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, good fences make good neighbors, but good boundaries make great ones. I'm Marcus, and it's a win for Neighborhood Wars HQ.